وصفا واقعيا ودقيقا جدا، ما سماها بالغدة السرطانية. وكلنا يعلم بأن السرطان طبيعته أن ينتشر في الجسد وأن يفتك، وأن الحل الوحيد للسرطان هو استئصاله وعدم الاستسلام له وعدم إعطاء الفرصة له.
One of the world's most wanted terrorists, a man whose leadership orchestrated hundreds of terror attacks and incited years of violence, a figurehead of terror at the service of Iran. On September 27, 2024, the IDF eliminated him. This is a year without Hassan Nasrallah. Hassan Nasrallah was born into poverty in Beirut in 1960. He wasn't a hero, and he was never a patriot. From the beginning, he chose violence over values. At just 15, he joined the Amal militia, already drawn to conflict. Not long after, he left for Iraq to study under radical Shiite clerics in Najaf. But he didn't return to Lebanon with wisdom. He returned with an agenda. His goal wasn't faith, it was power. When Iran created Hezbollah in 1982, a terrorist organization officially designated by the US, UK, Germany, Canada, the Arab League, and over a dozen other countries, Nasrallah found his opening. Even in Lebanon, many saw Hezbollah not as a resistance movement, but as a weapon of Iranian influence. Hezbollah aligned itself with Tehran and sold out Lebanon's future to serve Iran's ambitions. That's when the bloodshed began. Hezbollah's first attacks were not aimed at armies, but at civilians. Car bombings, kidnappings, hijackings. In 1983, they orchestrated the bombing of the US Marine barracks in Beirut, killing 241 American servicemen. They're responsible for orchestrating terrorist attacks across the globe, from South America to the Middle East, targeting diplomats, journalists, peacekeepers, anyone who stood in their way. In 1992, they bombed the Israeli embassy in Buenos Aires. 2 years later, they attacked a Jewish cultural center in the same city, killing 85 civilians. Israel's fight against Hezbollah isn't limited to its borders. Working with national agencies around the world, Israeli intelligence has helped to stop Hezbollah-backed terror plots before they could come to life. Before 9/11, Hezbollah was responsible for more American deaths than any other terror organization. The world took notice, but Nasrallah only grew bolder. And as Iran's influence grew, so did Nasrallah's reach and his willingness to use terror as a tool. By 1992, when the IDF eliminated Hezbollah's leader, Sheikh Abbas al-Musawi, Nasrallah stepped in, young, ambitious, and dangerous. He rebuilt Hezbollah with Iranian money.
طالما بإيران في فلوس يعني نحن في عنا فلوس.
And under his command, the terror empire expanded. In every conflict, Hezbollah played its part, smuggling weapons, training militias, launching attacks, and planning massacres. All while Nasrallah stayed in his bunker, rarely seen, never touched. In the early 1990s, Hezbollah established drug trafficking routes across Latin America, Africa, and Europe. Operations like Project Cassandra and Operation Titan by the DEA exposed Hezbollah's deep ties to cocaine smuggling, money laundering, and bank fraud, all used to fund terror. While Nasrallah preached resistance, his rockets targeted Israeli civilians. In 1996, in 2000, in 2006, again and again, he provoked war. He celebrated death. In 2006, Hezbollah kidnapped Israeli soldiers. That attack, launched with rockets and anti-tank missiles, started the Second Lebanon War. This war exposed Hezbollah's tactics, hiding behind civilians, launching rockets from schools and homes, in clear violation of international law. Since then, Hezbollah only grew stronger. They rebuilt their arsenal, they fortified southern Lebanon. They waited for the next war. As Nasrallah gained more control, so did his influence over Lebanon's government. He manipulated the political system to serve Hezbollah's agenda. In 2008, he sent his armed fighters into Beirut, turning violence against Lebanese civilians. When the UN indicted 4 Hezbollah members for the assassination of Prime Minister Rafik Hariri, Nasrallah shielded them from receiving justice. He stayed hidden, always deflecting responsibility whilst his forces operated. When Syria's Assad began killing his own citizens, Nasrallah joined him. Hezbollah forces helped crush protests and massacre civilians, and once again, he justified it all, claiming it was for resistance. In reality, he was doing Iran's bidding. Hezbollah became the crown jewel of Iran's axis of resistance, a terror network spanning from Tehran to Gaza. But in October 2023, everything changed. Hamas launched its brutal attack on Israel on October 7th. more than 1,200 innocent civilians were murdered, 251 taken hostage. Hassan Nasrallah not only openly celebrated the violence, but started his own war against Israel. On October 8, 2023, Hezbollah launched coordinated attacks against Israel from southern Lebanon. Anti-tank missiles, rockets, and mortars targeted Israeli communities and military posts along the northern border. For nearly a year, the IDF dismantled Hezbollah's infrastructure across southern Lebanon, one strike at a time, one target at a time. And then, we conducted the strike that marked a turning point. On September 27, 2024, Israeli Air Force jets struck Dahiyeh, Hezbollah's stronghold near Beirut. Nasrallah was killed instantly. The man who preached death for others finally met his own. This is the fate of those who devote their lives to the destruction of Israel.